The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guests and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Welcome, everybody. Boy, we have a show in store for you today.
Jam-packed.
We're going to do part 3 on diesels. We've got interesting information about batteries on electric cars.
Yeah,
And then we
breaking news.
And we have a question for all of our loyal listeners.
Okay.
Who was the tallest president, the second tallest, and the third tallest president?
Okay.
One of them is still alive today.
Yes. Okay.
And
That's your
functional.
hint.
Yes. The hint. I'll tell you what the second one was.
Okay.
Lyndon Johnson.
Second tallest man.
The tallest, Abraham Lincoln, 6'4".
6'4".
And the third
Yeah.
is our president current, Donald Trump.
And he's what, 6'2"?
Two. There's a lot of 6'2"
Wow.
presidents.
Ah.
We have a lot of short presidents, though.
Yeah,
A lot of 5'6"
Truman
and 7.
was fairly short.
I
right?
mean,
yeah.
the bulk of our presidents were short.
I didn't know that.
Washington,
He was tall.
over 6 foot.
He was
He was
tall.
like 6'1".
Yeah.
I had no idea
Natural leader. I'm reading that book right now.
about Washington.
Yes. Mhm.
And I don't think his pictures do him justice on how robust a man he was. He
Right.
was very hardy.
Yes.
And he almost died a couple times. I believe he got sick, didn't he?
He was fighting with a lot of oral issues too. A lot of
A lot of
problems
people
his
with teeth. Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
infections.
Yeah.
But he was
Yeah.
hardy. I mean, he was muscular, strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doesn't really, if you look at like a standing picture
Mhm.
drawn of him, he does not look as, well, he almost looks womanly.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
in
the
a
darn
picture.
wigs that they
Yes,
they
but
wore at the time.
if you look at it, he's a hardy guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Third tallest president, Donald Trump.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool.
They say tall men are born leaders. I don't know about that. I don't believe it.
But if people look, no, I think what it is, I think people look at tall people for leadership.
They do.
They do. And I
They
think
do.
it's human nature. I think that's part of the tribal
Yes.
DNA.
Well, we know if you're looking for car leadership, where do you
Yes.
go?
Crown Car Care.
Crown Car Care. We have
and-
2 locations.
And you're a tall guy, so it
Well,
all works
I
out.
don't know about that, but we have 2 locations here. We have one here in Stewart,
Yes.
right off Cove Road,
Mhm.
about a mile and a half up on the left,
Mhm.
north side of the road, heading towards the ocean from
Yes.
US 1.
Mhm.
Mike over there can help you. Been there, he's been there 9-10 years. And then we have a location, our original location in Palm City, over there right near the turnpike entrance off
Yes.
714.
Mhm.
Chris will help you over there. And Frank, what's the phone number?
Oh, 781-8000.
That's it. That's the
Yes.
hotline. You
Mhm.
call it. Chris
Mhm.
will answer it. But let's get to the show.
Yes.
We have a good one. How
Yeah.
about some news, Frank?
Okay, some news. This day in history news. Let's get that out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, do
Okay,
it.
It's kind of fun stuff.
Yes.
Oregon introduced the very first state tax on gasoline at 1 cent per gallon to be used for road construction on this date in 1919.
A lot of people don't realize that
That was a big
the
deal.
taxes that we pay on the gasoline, which I think is pretty steep.
About 18 cents. On
There's federal and state, though, in
Mhm.
there
Yep,
both.
mhm.
Okay.
and county in some
And it's
areas.
used for our
Mhm.
roads.
Yep.
A lot of, I can tell you, we do a lot of repairs at our Palm City shop with diesels.
Hmm.
And a lot of people in the past, not many use them now, have used that off-road red dyed fuel. And they don't realize that they're shortchanging the roads they're on, because it's the taxes that we pay on this fuel that keep our roads nice.
Yeah.
Like, for example, that nice project they're doing on Canner Highway.
the job from
The job from
hell.
yeah. When's that going to be done, Frank?
I don't think they're ever done.
When did it start?
You know, when they finished the last improvement prior to this improvement.
Yes.
They filed the following year to do this job, and they were told, wait a while.
Wasn't
They
there
wanted to do this
a big project up in Boston called the Big Dig?
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
I believe this might be longer.
It could be.
I don't know. How long did the Big Dig take?
It took a while, but there was a fascinating story. They
Wasn't
did-
it underground? I mean, it's on
Yes, a big
the
under.
Big Dig.
Yeah. And a lot of news magazines did features on that. It was an amazing,
Wasn't Kennedy's involved in that?
I don't know who.
They're
it
always
was.
got their fingers in
Well, could
something
have
up
been.
there.
Who knows?
Speaking of the north, Frank, is there snow going on up there?
Just a little bit.
What's the
Little
weather
bit.
up there?
It
you
is
northerners? We can-
Cold and windy.
Cold and windy.
Very windy. Yes, we get a little bit of that.
We
wind
had a
on.
cold front last night.
Yeah,
I felt it.
I look forward to it.
I like it. Windows down while you drive.
Yes, exactly.
And by the way, you do get a little better gas mileage with the windows up
that's correct.
on newer cars.
Right.
The older ones, it didn't matter much
Right.
because they were just a big brick going down the road anyway. Didn't matter. But on the newer cars, windows up, you do get better mileage.
I agree. Absolutely.
So I don't know if studies have shown, does the offset of the windows up with the air conditioning on offset the loss of mileage with the AC on? Because there is some parasitic drag on the engine
Mhm.
with the air conditioning on.
I think it's a push.
Probably a push. Now
Yeah.
the electric cars use electric AC compressors, so I don't know. That would even be a more even questionable in terms of analysis.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else is going on?
1928 on this date, Bell Labs introduced the new device to end the fluttering of the television image. That was a big
Oh, that's
innovation.
interesting.
That was a huge
The
innovation.
horizontal adjustment.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes. That was it.
Get
Bell
your
Labs.
you get your TV tuned up. Call the guy. He's going to tune it up. He'd come in with these little plastic tools that were shaped like triangles.
I remember as a kid being because I was the oldest of four. So,
Uh-huh.
you know,
And that was up in Michigan, right,
up
Frank?
in Michigan. My job was to hold the rabbit ears and stand in just the right spot.
And by the way, you were up there recently, and you'd rented a car. I hear.
I did.
Was it cold up there?
Oh, very cold.
In 4-wheel drive is what I've heard.
Yeah. Oh,
Rumor
yeah.
has it 4-wheel drive. Frank had a big Tahoe.
Yes.
Well, Big Frank, he's
It
Big
was-
Frank needs a big car.
it was a Yukon.
Yukon.
Yeah. It was-
Yukon should be up in Alaska.
yeah, it felt like I was in Alaska.
Give me some more news.
Okay, let's see now. U.S. troops. Well, that's not. 1956. Stalin is secretly disavowed by Khrushchev at the Party Congress for promoting the cult of the individual. Oh, that was
Cult
very-
of personality.
You can't have an individual.
Lenin, still embalmed up there. You can still visit him.
Oh, isn't that nice? That's
You
special.
can visit him in the square, Leningrad, I believe.
And in 1976, this is kind of timely even today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that states may ban the hiring of illegal aliens.
States' rights. That's
1976.
that's the underpinnings of our whole democracy, I believe.
Mhm.
And, backing out the Bill of Rights, which is the most important.
Right,
States' rights.
right.
Big deal.
So, in the automotive news.
Yes. Give me some automotive news because we have a juicy story about a
Yes.
liquid battery that
Yes,
we'll talk about
yes.
in a bit.
Okay, we want to just touch on a couple of interesting snippets of information.
Sure.
Polestar, you know who that is? That's a low-cost dealership strategy of Volvo affiliated EV startup Polestar.
Okay.
Is proposing a low-cost U.S. dealer network with small and modest stores, no F&I. That's finance and
Because you
insurance.
know, one of my big beefs, Frank, is this with Tesla. I disagree with their company-owned stores. I think
Okay,
they should be
this-
franchises.
This is the part you're going to like. No F&I offices, zero inventory, and outsourced service.
I like that.
See?
Because what happens with the dealer stores is they can't service the vehicles they sell.
Right,
Remember, I exist. Crown Car, 2 locations right here in Martin County, 2 locations
right.
to fix them. And there are still plenty of fish out there.
Yeah.
There's so many cars out there that need good service that even if you could get good service at the dealer, which is even questionable at this point,
Right.
anywhere, and
Right.
you know that.
Mhm.
You've had experiences yourself.
Yeah, oh,
In
yeah.
fact, one of the upcoming shows I'd like to do a lemon law show.
I think that
Wouldn't that be interesting? Let's really get the facts on it, Frank, and
Yeah.
we'll report on it. We'll have a whole show on it.
I think it would be a good service to our listening audience.
I do, but that'll be after our Detroit Tagger special,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is coming.
Coming up.
Yeah,
Up.
Yes.
Okay, Geneva. You've heard of Geneva, right?
Yes.
Geneva is a mad mix of supercars. Every year they get together.
Well, Geneva's, don't they make clocks and chocolate?
They do a lot of things in Geneva.
Watches, I believe it.
Yes, and Swiss mocha.
Swiss movement.
Yes.
Swiss movement.
Yes, a lot of that. But Geneva is also remarkable of his list of no shows at its longest in recent history for an event once considered unmissable on the European calendar.
Interesting.
So
Well, I know
suddenly
there's been a lot of bank accounts leaving Switzerland.
a lot of supercars never showed up to the Geneva show.
Well, you know, there's
so
speaking of supercars, even in England, there's with the influx of the Eastern, Arab money.
yes.
There have been many these younger guys that just mega bucks are driving these fast Bugattis and Ferraris and Lamborghinis all over England,
Right.
in London and things. It's a big, not an issue, but it's a sight.
Yeah.
And I guess they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It started with wasn't there a big clothing store or something that was involved with Harrods or some of their England, the clothing department store that was owned by the guy that was married to Diana. That was, remember with Diana's death.
Oh yeah.
Remember it was Harrods, I think it was called.
Okay.
One of those. A lot of I believe even, don't hold me to it, I believe Macy's and them are owned by, I believe, an Eastern.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
The department stores that were once America's greatest.
Yeah.
Macy's, Wanamaker's, John Wanamaker.
Right.
Remember the Christmas movie that we
Nordstrom's.
But there was a Christmas movie where the girl wished for a house, and
Right.
remember Santa Claus was on
Right.
trial, and he was paid by the two department stores to be there.
Yeah.
And the girl knew that it was Santa because inside the house, the cane that he used was at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. I
Yes.
believe, what's her name? Was it a famous actress?
Yeah, probably.
The young girl, lady that was all through the movies, and great movie.
Yeah.
Real
yeah.
black and white.
Yeah.
Black and white movie.
Yes, I remember. It's a
I like a
classic.
lot of the black and white movies
Oh, yeah.
myself.
Yeah. They're done well. Good storytelling.
Yes.
Okay, last item we're going to touch on before we roll on with additional news is Honda's plant closings are shifting work back to the U.S. They are
I like that.
They are closing two of Europe's assembly plants, and a global push to raise utilization rates above 100%. So they're moving them to the.
I wonder if it's
US.
raising. Is it the rising standard of living worldwide that is increasing labor costs, or is it, which it might be? Tariffs have been going up. I do have to tip my hat on some of this stuff currently. That it's been a one-way street with trade with our country and other countries.
Right.
That we unfortunately are getting the raw end of the deal. When we trade, we get banged with tariffs.
Well, one of the things,
But then when we accept it, these foreign goods, we're not tariff trading fairly.
Right.
It's not fair to the U.S. companies, especially steel industry, from what I've read.
Exactly right. But one of the things that's universal threaded through all this conversation, when we're always vying to get U.S. workers involved in projects, right? Is that we have a very good workforce.
We have a good workforce. We have ingenuity. We have dedicated workers, and we have guys that have productivity that's off the charts. Our productivity in this country is one of the highest in the world.
Right. And I think that is what companies
I
like
believe.
Honda looked at, and they go, we could get more bang for our buck by building cars in the US.
I've in Smyrna.
Mhm.
In Tennessee is where the big Nissan.
Mhm.
I've toured it.
Mhm.
I toured the Nissan plant.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. It was all big, a lot of pride.
Hell yeah.
And that's what I like, is that American pride, flying that American flag
Right.
and knowing that we've got people in the heartland anywhere, smaller towns that are employed by even some of these big manufacturers. They
Right.
don't care,
Right.
but they're just glad to have good jobs. And, these jobs pay well. There's good benefits.
Right.
What a great thing it is
Right.
to bring jobs back to America, especially manufacturing, which has innovation and technology. And we know in
Right.
the automotive marketplace, some of the most advanced technology are on vehicles.
Right.
So no dummies allowed is what I'm saying. We
Right.
got smart people. We have smart people to work,
Right.
and we're doing it. And
Right.
I love it.
So this is the counterpoint to your little dialogue here.
My
in that-
diatribe.
Yes. The counterpoint is currently Bill Ford is Mustang-inspired electric crossover is
Weren't you saying it's supposed to be off the charts?
is
This
supposed to be amazing. But Bill Ford said the Ford Motors EV crossover will have a range of more than 300 miles.
that's big.
Production was originally slated for Flat Rock, Michigan. I know
Again,
exactly.
Michigan. You've been there or know where it's at?
Yes, and near
Is it in the
Near
thumb or the
Detroit.
glove?
it's in the bottom of the state.
The thumb.
Right,
Okay.
beneath the thumb.
Because it's a big mitten, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
For the cold weather.
You need that mitten.
Yes.
But anyways, they decided to pull their production work out of Flat Rock and they moved it to Mexico.
I don't like that.
But I know why.
Why?
They don't mention it here in the article, but I know why.
EPA?
It's EV work. And where are they making batteries? California.
Yeah. So it's closer to the
There it
sourcing.
is.
It's
I-
unfortunate.
And that's I think
I disagree with that. I don't care how advantageous
I
it is.
know.
I'm not into. I think it was Ross Perot
Yeah.
with NAFTA.
right.
Remember Ross Perot?
Mhm.
Big sucking sound, one way street. You remember him?
Sure.
Crew cut and all.
He got people thinking about third parties.
And you know where he made his money, don't you? Ross Perot. EDS.
yes.
And you know what EDS was? The processor of paycheck or the benefit checks for Social Security.
Yeah.
So he made all of his money on social government contracts.
Government contracts.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, really.
Kind of like Elon Musk. He
It-
makes a lot of his money currently.
I wonder if Elon Musk is supplementing Tesla when they have losses through his. Wonder if
SpaceX.
there's variable pricing on SpaceX, like
I-
Amazon has variable pricing depending on demand. Does he have a variable price schedule
think
on SpaceX
he
depending
may
if he
have enough profit structure built in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
guys, the shipment that you're going to the space station just went up a little bit.
Yeah, half a point.
Half a point, only because my hobby over here in Fremont, California, that Tesla plant, we need a little cash flow.
More sucking sound
Exactly.
coming out of Fremont. But anyway, so that brings everybody up.
Let's get to
speed.
this new technology that I just
I
read
love-
about. And you know who gave me this little lead?
Where did you get this?
Joan is
Joan.
my bookkeeper.
Yes.
We give
good for
all
Joan.
credit and all accolades go to Joan.
Woohoo.
Fabulous lady.
Yes.
She texted me the story on it, breaking news,
Yes.
good information. New stuff coming out. Refillable batteries that you fill up like a gasoline tank for
With-
a gasoline
right.
internal combustion engine for an electric car. Fascinating technology.
Right.
And it's
And they'll be able to use the gas station infrastructure to provide
pro-
this service.
provide the service. So,
Yes.
and that was one of the big issues with electric vehicles is
Right.
we'd have to build a whole new infrastructure. As you know, Elon Musk has with Tesla has superstations scattered throughout all the highways.
Right.
So you can travel in a Tesla across country.
Yep, absolutely.
The problem is the recharge time, and
Yeah.
you're only getting 80%
But
if you spend all your time there, which is a good 45 minutes to an hour.
Right. So he's putting those Tesla charging stations near restaurants.
Of course,
So you
kind of like at what's that one up the street on Cantor, the new one, Wawa. You
Yes.
fill your car up and have breakfast.
Yeah,
And they make more money on the breakfast than they do the gas.
I think so.
I always
Absolutely.
wondered why that.
It's a lost leader.
Yeah, gasoline loss leader.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal on these liquid batteries. What they say is you would the electrolyte,
Yeah.
which an electrolyte is what's the
That's
chemical.
what keeps you and I going too. Is
Sure it
electrolytes.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. Gatorade
Mhm.
replenishes the electrolyte,
Exactly right.
which came out with the University of Florida, I believe. Came up with Gatorade,
Yes, that's
didn't
it.
they? The Gators.
That's correct.
Gatorade. They
Mhm.
sold the rights to
I think Coca-Cola owns it now.
Coca-Cola owns it.
Yeah,
They own everything.
I think so.
Okay. So a guy in Glasgow, which is in Scotland.
Yes, it is.
Glasgow, big
Mhm.
city.
Yeah.
Glasgow, big city. I always
Yeah.
thought it was Russian. But Glasgow's in Scotland,
Yes.
which is in the northern part of England, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, north of England. Well, the big island there.
Yeah.
It's a big island. Yeah. There's a chemist there who's doing a lot of research on it. He's had grants. Guy named let's see what his name is here. Well, they don't say it. Cronin, Lee Cronin.
Okay.
And then there's also a gentleman at Purdue University doing research named John Cushman.
Okay. So
Two guys.
Cronin and Cushman.
Cronin and Cushman, CNC,
Hmm.
are doing this. And the problem, okay, let's define the problems with electric cars.
Yeah.
Charge time,
Right.
and range.
Right.
Range.
And weight.
And weight. There's a huge weight and cost.
Yep.
Cost.
Hmm.
They're expensive.
Yep.
That's why Elon Musk built that super plant out there in Arizona for
Right.
making his own batteries.
Right. Right.
I believe he bought it from Panasonic, the rights, or I don't know what the deal is, but he's building a big plant to
Right.
bring down costs,
Right.
which I'm in favor of. Okay, so they've got this liquid battery that
Mhm.
is the electrolyte that's electrolytes in all batteries.
Correct.
Okay, and even a lead acid battery in the old days, gasoline car, you have a battery in your car.
Right.
There's a liquid in there, sulfuric acid,
Yeah. Good old
or actually not sulfuric, but
HCl, hydrochloric,
hydro. No, it is sulfuric acid.
SO
Sulfuric acid.
SO4.
Okay, and then you got lead
Okay.
plates.
Okay.
That chemical reaction creates an ionization, which gives you the positive and negative
Mm-hmm.
on the poles,
Mhm.
which is the two posts.
Right.
Okay, so on this liquid battery, what they're doing is they're instead. What happens when you have to recharge a battery is you're putting the electrolyte back to its stock condition,
Mhm.
original condition. So when you recharge it, it gets absorbed on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're pumping the electrolyte through this battery that's this type, once the electrolyte gets depleted, instead of having to do a recharge, they are then replenishing the electrolyte with fresh,
Okay.
and it cycles through. So you would pump out at a filling station for electrolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, I need a Gatorade for me, electrolyte for me, and I need some electrolyte for my car.
Yeah.
So you probably have two hookups,
Yeah.
a sucker and a pumper.
Yes.
What happens when the sucker breaks?
Oof.
And then there's no pumpy.
Yeah.
Or the pump breaks and you suck. Now
Yeah.
you got a car with nothing in it.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. So imagine there is going to be some,
it's gonna have to be.
and you have holding tanks,
right.
right? Just because you suck in new, then tankers are going to have to come and take the old out, create new jobs.
But the I would imagine that the electrolyte in its fresh form
yes,
is probably pretty stable stuff.
it's a concentration of metal oxide.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's not the healthiest stuff in the world, but it's not. It's toxic. I'm sure. I know it's toxic from a body standpoint, but it's not volatile or combustible.
right.
And that's the problem with gasoline, right?
Right.
And
right.
it doesn't absorb water. Water is a big no-no in gasoline. That's why
Right.
we have to have it tested all the time.
Right.
If you ever been to a filling station, before they fill it up, the old-fashioned where they stick it.
The dipstick.
I used to do it.
Yes. Yes.
My first job was at a full-serve gas
Yeah.
station, Frank.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois, town called
Mhm.
Libertyville. Rouse's gas station.
Rouse.
Rouse. R-O-U-S-E. Rouse.
German guy.
And I used to stick. It was a big wood stick,
Uh-huh.
and we'd
Yeah.
stick this compound on it that would turn purple
Oh, okay.
if it had the presence of water. So we used to have to
Ah.
stick it all the time, and we'd have to stick it, and it had a incrementation on it, like a big yardstick would.
Yep, yep.
And we'd have to take the readings at night to make sure that we weren't dispersing more gasoline than we were getting money for. I'm sure than the days of before regulation, you would give me $1 worth of gas, you might get 80 cents.
Oh.
Guess who would win? Right?
Right.
Think
right.
about it.
Wow.
And even before that, we used to gravity.
Right.
You'd pump it up into a big, large glass dome,
Right.
and then the gravity would put it into your vehicle or can. And
Yeah.
there would be little floats that would lever up.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Rouse, had a
Oh,
gas station with kerosene that would pump up that way.
how
The
cool.
old-fashioned way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
1976.
Wow.
Yeah, cool stuff.
That I'll
Yeah.
say.
We get cold up there. It gets cold in Illinois. Clean the
Yeah.
windows. Imagine I used to have to clean the windows in sub-zero weather.
Wow.
The stuff we'd have to really put the alcohol in the cleaners so it wouldn't freeze.
Alcohol in the cleaners. Huh?
Yeah, in the windshield dip.
Oh,
or else the water would freeze.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that. That's what windshield washer
Sure.
fluid has.
A little
is alcohol in it.
isopropyl alcohol.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Let's
indeed.
take a break and we'll come back and get in the meat and potatoes of the show.
Okay. Stick with us. We've
Yeah.
got much more. We are back. You're listening to the Crown Car Care Show with your host, Todd Harris.
Well, I'm going to thank all of our listeners out there. We welcome you to be our guest in any of our 2 locations here in Martin County. We have one on Cove Road. We have one in Palm City. Mike over in Stewart, Cove Road area will help you, and Chris over in the Palm City area will help you. You can go to either one location. Call 772-781-8000. That's who sponsors this show. I'm the owner. We're always looking for new customers and guests, and we'll treat you right. You have fair pricing, good repairs, quality technicians, and a good family-run business that once you taste my way of business, you'll never go back to anything else.
Cool.
Our hamburgers are good over at Crown. And speaking of that, we have a Kubota diesel we're rebuilding for a customer of ours, and we need to get some parts.
Nice.
Guess where we're going?
Where are we
Everglades.
Farm equipment.
Yes. They got location in Okeechobee. Then there's
Yeah.
one down in West Palm Beach, and there's one up in Fort Pierce.
Perfect.
Great business, by the way. If you haven't tried Everglades equipment and you need some pieces for your John Deere tractor or your Kubota diesel engine, go there. Real good people. So let's get back to the show. And the meat and potatoes of our show is we've been having we've had 2 weeks of diesels, and we're going to continue on with the Dodge family of diesels that have featured Cummins engines. Cummins, big diesel engine manufacturer, been around a long time.
I saw a Cummins on a, I want to say Dodge, but not. It's what, a Ram truck?
Yeah, Ram truck. That's the Dodge.
Well,
Ram is down by FCA now, but
Yeah,
Fiat.
so-
But Cummins. The Cummins are also in Nissan. Their Titan trucks have feature a Cummins
Wow.
engine, a V8.
Yeah, but I actually saw the little Cummins logo.
Yeah, it's everyone's logo bound, but Cummins has a neat logo. It's always been the same.
Mhm.
And Cummins is a big business. I believe they're out of Indiana or
Yeah.
north.
Mhm,
Big
mhm.
company.
Yep.
Stable Motors. Well, they started in 87. Listen, no. Let me go back here. 87. Yes, I was right.
Mhm.
They started with their 5.9 straight 6 Cummins diesel engine. 87 to 90, they had a 12-valve non-intercooled, which means there's not a big radiator in front of the radiator that cools the air going into the engine. And we would do an intercooler for what, Frank? To increase the density of the air,
Wow.
right? If you cool air, the molecules are closer together, so you have more air
They're
molecules
denser.
denser.
Yeah.
So that would be
Mhm,
why you'd have an intercooler.
Got it.
They used a VE pump. It was a rotary mechanical pump. Good motor, not a lot of horsepower, not a lot of torque, but very good and reliable. 87 to 90. Then in 90 to 93, Dodge with Cummins came out with the intercooled version of that 5.9 12-valve, which the VE pump it was called. VE pump, mechanical, non-computerized. So if we had a ground zero type bad situation, those engines would always run. There's no electricity other than the shut-off solenoid to cut them off. So
Okay.
non-computerized, solid engines, Frank, real good, but not a lot of power. Reliable, though.
Mhm.
Cummins are known for the reliability. In fact, I'd argue that of the big 3, Duramax, Ford, and their Power Strokes, they were in a relationship with International, and then they broke it, make their own motors now. But the most reliable. If you're going across country, what do you buy? Cummins. It's
Okay.
not going to leave you hanging. And they all break, but
Yeah.
less on the Cummins.
Okay.
Then 94 to 98. This is what they call the Holy Grail motor. This is the truck
The
that
Holy Grail.
this is the 12-valve with the P
Right.
pump. Okay, lots of power,
Yeah.
durable, stout.
Hmm.
If you have a 94 to 98, you can sell them for big money. All the big diesel trucks, the guys that have tractor pulls and truck pulls, they want that 94 to 98 12-valve P pump motor.
Wow.
If you have to buy a new P pump made by Dodge, 7100, cost set you back about $5,000
Oof.
just for the pump.
Whoa.
Mechanical injection, had a rack.
Just for the pump.
Now, interesting, Frank, on a diesel, on these inline P pump Bosch units, it looked like in itself a little engine. Had a
Mhm.
crankshaft, pistons, and pushed the fuel through the ports that would go to the lines to a pop-it type injector. And then when the injector receives the minimum to pop, it would spray the fuel because of the pressure. So it has a one-way valve that, you build up the pressure inside the P pump. It pushes it through a steel line to the injector, which is in the motor in the head, and it would spray the fuel. So that's how it would do it. And then once the pressure dropped, it would close the injector, and it would, so the predetermined dispersed amount would be how long you apply the pressure above breakaway number, whether it be 1200 psi, 2000, 3000 psi, whatever the number is. It would break away and spray into the motor. Direct injection, it sprayed right into the head. Neat stuff.
Yeah.
94 to 98. It's a big, that motor and that truck, updated, good looking truck, good looking Dodge. Now, the only problem with Dodges is the dashboards and plastic fall apart.
Yeah.
A lot of wiring issues too.
Yeah.
But the motors, the Cummins motor, fabulous. 5.9 liter, straight six.
Straight six.
Smoother motor than a V8 and a V6. You know that.
No,
Frank,
why?
a straight, because of the harmonics and the way the pistons fire, they would fire two, and two. So you have 6 cylinders. Two would be pushing together at the opposite ends. It's a smoother, less vibration-y. You wouldn't think that, though.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Wow.
Known science. The straight six, one of the smoothest motors ever made.
Wow.
And the straight 8. Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. I'll say.
And you know who came up with the first V8 was Ford, in production car, of course. Remember, Ford told his engineers, "I want a V8." But we can't do it. We can't make it. They said. He told his engineers, "You'll make it." And they came up with the ideas and did it. Ford was like that, Henry Ford.
Yeah.
He pushed people so they were their best.
Right.
That was one of his virtues.
I think so.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
He pushed people.
Yeah, he knew it could be done. Just don't tell me no.
Don't tell me. That's what I mean.
Right.
Don't tell me no. It can
Right.
be done. You'll
Right.
come up with the idea.
Right.
And that's when we get back to this ingenuity and why all these worldwide companies are bringing their manufacturing plants back to the U.S. It's good for press, too.
Yeah.
If you're selling me all this stuff, please make it in our country so we can have some money to buy it, so we can have some employment.
Right? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. And I'm in favor of that. Completely in favor of it.
I vote yes.
Me too. So 03 to 07, or 98 and a half. So we went 94 to 98 was the 12 valve P pump, the Holy Grail motor. Then 98 and a half. So that mid-year on 98 to 02, we came up with the 24 valve 5.9. So two exhaust valves, 2 intake valves per cylinder. 6 times 4 is 24 valve. Had a VP44 pump, a Bosch unit. Not very reliable. Pumps go bad. Watch out for the 53 blocks. There's a stamping on the block with a 53 on it. These blocks were made in Mexico by International, which is the people that made the Ford motors. So it's quite a very interesting twist that Cummins would outsource on some of their 5.9 blocks to International, who was married to Ford, and they were made in Mexico. Quite a twist. Made in Mexico by International for Cummins, and they were junk. Horrible castings, horrible metal content. They would crack, leak coolant, blow up. Bad. But the interesting motor has a unique sound to it. It almost sounds like 2 diesel engines overlaid on each other with a time delay. If you can think of that. Take a diesel engine, record it, and record another diesel engine, and then overlay the one diesel engine with a time delay on that same sound, and that's what a VP44 sounds like. It's unmistakable. Most people think that of all the diesel engines made, the VP44, made from 98 and a half to 02, was one of the most sweet, unique sounds ever that come out of the U.S. in diesel engines. The VP44 5.9. Good motor, except for, like I say, the 53 block. Let's go to the 03 to 07. 03 to 07 was a common rail design, which means the fuel pressure is always there at the lines, unlike the poppet style injectors that we talked about earlier. And the injectors themselves opened and closed by solenoids, usually piezoelectric. You can create movement with, it was quite a bit of voltage, usually anywhere from 55 volts to 110, would open and close the injectors, but the fuel pressure was always the same. So that's the big difference now with common rail. You've heard, if anyone has heard common rail before in diesels, the difference is common rail has high fuel pressure all the time. And what opens and closes is the injector itself, not the fuel pressure pushing the injector open. That's the big game changer in diesels, because now we can do multiple firings on one complete cycle of the engine. And with multiple firings, we can eliminate most of the diesel sound. That's why when you hear on a new diesel truck, if you go buy a brand new Power Stroke or a brand new Cummins
Right.
or a new Duramax from Chevy, they don't sound like a diesel much anymore. And that's because of the multiple firing events that happen on that one single Power Stroke of the 4-cycle motor, which is intake, compression, power, exhaust.
Okay. Now, what about that whistle sound that you hear? That's that high compression,
That's
right?
no, that's a turbocharger.
That's the turbocharger you're listening
That's
to.
what's creating
whistle?
boost.
Yeah.
Boost. The original diesels, well, they've always had turbochargers. We
Yeah.
used turbochargers and superchargers on what? P31 Mustang
Mm-hmm.
had both. P31 Mustang had a turbocharger and a supercharger on it. 1,200 horsepower on that
Yeah.
thing. That was one of the most powerful P31 Mustang. In fact, people collect them today. They're worth millions of dollars if you have one. It's a big niche,
Yeah.
high dollar flyboy. That's what they call people that are in airplanes.
Right.
Flyboys.
Those things cost $2,000 a flight hour to keep them in the air.
But if
Oof.
you've ever heard the sound of one of those,
Oh, I
things,
know.
It's just
nothing-
rip snorting.
Nothing sounds like a P-38. Yeah.
Rolls Royce motor.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
Rolls Royce and one they used another one too. I can't think of it. But
Yeah.
P31 Mustang had turbocharger and a supercharger on it.
Mhm.
Last year's air show, which I was at, which
Yeah.
we gave a car away to Safe Space.
Yes.
Crown Car Care gave a car away
I
this
remember that.
this year that just ended to Safe Space here in
Right.
Martin County.
Right.
We gave a Toyota Corolla to help somebody with domestic violence.
Right.
And that's what
Somebody in
their
need.
mission is, someone
Mhm.
in need.
Right.
But someone had a live working model of a P31 Mustang supercharged there that you could hear run. Right 2 doors down from my booth.
Wow.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I heard it run.
Well,
And sight to be seen and a sound to be heard. Okay, so the common rail was 03 to 07, sought after motors. It's a game changer, multiple firings, quieter, more power, turbocharged, intercooled, good motor. Dashboards fall apart, electronics not real good on Dodges, but all in all, great vehicle, Cummins. And then 07.5, which is mid-year on this common rail, to 09 was the first where they raised the displacement of the 5.9 to 6.7, a little bit bigger hole and a longer stroke, which means the piston, everyone don't know what a piston is. It's like a big tin can that's going up and down inside of a big long block, the engine, that has a hole in it. So imagine a tin can connected to a coat hanger going up and down. You're pushing that coat hanger up and down on that tin can going up in a hole. And there's 6 of those holes right in the line. That's the Cummins. Well, they increased it to 6.7, the displacement liters instead of the 5.9. Had a VGT turbo, which is a variable gate turbo. It would actuate the turbo with variable pitched vanes on it. So you'd get higher boost quicker on the initialization of the turbocharger when the exhaust would go through it. For people that don't know what a turbocharger is, Frank, a turbocharger takes the exhaust and spins a turbine wheel, which is connected through a common shaft to the turbine wheel on the intake side, which creates boost, which is similar. Intercooler makes the air denser. Well, guess what a turbocharger does? It compresses the air. Like you'd see in an air tank, go scuba diving, right? They have compressed air. Well, what this turbocharger does is compresses the air, then it goes through an intercooler and back into the motor. More boost, more oxygen. They can put more fuel in there, get more power, more work, more torque, and of course, better fuel economy. The more power you make on an engine, though, there's more heat. So you have to watch the cooling systems, and they had head gasket issues on those 6.7s. So anytime you build more boost, anytime you build more power on any type of motor, you're going to have more heat. Heat is energy, and there's always a side marker that comes off of any type of gasoline motor or diesel is heat. And heat is where the cooling sets a kiss of death in vehicles. If you have an overheating problem, it's the worst to have. I always tell people that. It's the worst problem to have is overheating. It'll ruin a motor fast. Then you'd be buying a new motor or having it rebuilt or having a head gasket put on. We can talk about that in a later show if you'd like. Head gaskets. So 2013 and up is the last big change that's happened with the 6.7 Cummins straight 6. It started in 87 with that 12 valve I talked about with the VE pump. It has SCR and DPF. I think we've talked about that, Frank, in the past, haven't we? SCR and DPF. We talked about the diesel particulate filter that burns off the soot.
Yeah.
And then we had the SCR, which is it scavenges the nitrous oxides that are NOx, that's a natural pollutant of diesel motors, as well as gasoline with high heat. High heat makes NOx, and NOx is a greenhouse gas which causes global warming, and it's a no-no regulated by the EPA. So what diesel manufacturers have done is they have a giant catalyst that converts the NOx to just, I believe, nitrogen and oxygen and water, and they use an ammonia-based additive that you have to add now when you fill up with diesel fuel. Every third or fourth or fifth or eighth time, you have to put in DEF fluid, diesel engine fluid, which is a
Death.
DEF,
It's like-
DEF,
Oh, okay.
diesel, and it's a fluid, ammonia-based.
All right.
URI, it's called.
Oh, okay.
Some people call it, well, ammonia. We're not gonna.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
We get the idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds a little
So-
bit like uric acid, but we're
Yeah,
not talking about
no,
that.
We're talking about diesel fluid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's added. You have to add an expense.
Yeah.
It's used lightly. You know, add a whole bunch, and that injects it into that SCR system, which then converts to nitrous oxides. The diesel particulate filter's in front of it. It's a giant sponge. Think of a sponge, and it then burns off that sponge with a second combustion down inside that DPF filter. And then it reduces the soot that goes into the atmosphere, which is, think of Los Angeles and smog from the 60s and 70s. So that would be 2013 and up with that Dodge. So some of the most desirable Dodge engines on these, if you're looking in the used market, would be this 2003 to 2007, the Common Rail is a great buy. The 94 to 98, they're a little bit pricey because of the status of being what everyone, all the kids and the guys that hop up these trucks, they want that 94 to 98 motor with the P-pump,
Yeah.
because you can get tons of up to 3,000 horsepower out of these things, which is
Horsepower.
just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big turbos, intercoolers, stout block. Let's take a break.
Okay. We'll do it, and we'll be right back. And we've got more to cover. We're going to talk about your diesel truck when we come
Yes.
back. All right. So stick with us. are back. You're listening to the Crown Car Care Show with Todd Harris.
And we're in the final stretch of our show. It went fast. We had a good show today. I enjoyed it. I hope everybody listening out there enjoyed it. If you're looking for a good car shop, you know where to go. Crown Car Care. That's who sponsors this radio hour every week. I'm Todd, the owner. Family-run business. My wife, Tamara, Max, and Eden are my two kids. And I'm always at the shops, generally in my Palm City, but I'm over in my Cove Road location too. If you need to get a hold of me, you call 772-781-8000.
Right.
They'll get you the message. If I'm in the shop available, I'll talk. Otherwise, I'm usually under the hood of a car working on them.
Yes.
I'm big into diesels. We do a lot of diesel work out in Palm City, a lot of gas work. We do anything from a Toyota Corolla to a Chevy Tahoe, air conditioning work, tire work, brakes, alignments,
and
oil changes.
Sure. And pretty soon we'll be doing EV work, right?
EV, we do EV work. We specialize. We're EV certified. We do a lot of electric cars and a lot of hybrids, a lot of Priuses. In fact, I own a Prius.
Yeah.
Probably seen it around town. I have it wrapped. It says Crown Car Care.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. They're great vehicles, very reliable. If you're looking for any questions about electric cars or hybrids, I'm known around the circuit as an expert on it. I'd love to help you. Just call 772-781-8000 and we can help you.
Sweet.
One of the final things I wanted to talk about on these, we've been talking about, Frank, the Dodge.
Okay.
And the Cummins. The last thing I wanted to talk about on them before we move into something else, which will be diesel related. We got not a lot of time.
No, like 3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Is that 94 to 98 that I talked about? That was the killer or the Holy Grail motor. That was the 12 valve with the P pump.
Right.
5100. That was made by Bosch. And I said it's over $5,000 for a new pump if you buy brand new.
Right.
Obviously not for a rebuilt one, but you always have to get the core back. In my business, a lot of pieces that you can't get new anymore, you always have to give the old piece back to the manufacturer who reconditioned it. And that's why sometimes you can't get your old part back when you go in for a repair. Oh, I want my parts back. Sometimes we can't give it to you. And that's because there's a core charge.
Right.
And many times the core charge is more
like
than
batteries.
There's a core. And you know, in the state of Florida, there's a tax on $1.50 a battery.
Okay.
When I sell a battery, I have to charge $1.50 for the state. The state gets $1.50.
Right.
And then there's also $1 charge for tires. I don't know if anyone knew that.
Per tire.
Per tire. $1. And that's regulated by the state of Florida. My service business is regulated by the Department of Agriculture.
Right.
If you ever have a question about your business that you're going to for current repairs, if you're not going to Crown Car Care, ask them to see their MV certificate, motor vehicle license. That is something that is required by the state of Florida. And you have to have proper insurance, proper business licensure in the county or town you're working in, which we all do at Crown Car Care. And it's an MV certificate regulated by the Department of Agriculture. It's a pricey certificate that you have to have signed off. Your work orders have to have the proper. In fact, we should do a show on that too.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of things people might not know about in the state of Florida. It's heavily regulated. There's requirements that we have to do and follow for repair orders. What we can and can't charge for, waste charges, all that stuff is regulated and it must be adhered to. And I can assure you at Crown Car Care at our two locations, we follow it by the book.
Yes.
Yes, sir, Frank. There's no him. And we pay sales tax. Sales tax, there's always in Martin County is 6.5%.
Exactly right.
We have another 0.5% that we give to for schools, I believe it is. And then schools. So
I've had customers approach me and say, well, do you charge sales tax? I go, absolutely not. Not 1 cent. The state of Florida does. I merely collect it for
That's right. I like your answer because people try to do no. It pays for everything that if you like the roads, if you like the stuff you see in Florida, everything.
Yeah.
Sales tax is important.
Yes, absolutely. That's what makes the world go round. What makes the wheel turn.
Yeah. So if we're running out of time, I'd like to
30 seconds. Yeah.
30 seconds. I'd like to say, everybody, thank you for listening. Next week, we'll have another exciting show with news and we're going to have the final number 4 on our diesels. We'll be doing the Ford Power Stroke. So everyone, good night and take care. Thanks again, Frank, for the great news and opportunities I've had. Good night.
Good night.